I wrote this story about a special bond I shared with my best friend's mother when I was younger. Even now, as I've reached middle age, I occasionally find myself reminiscing about those days. I want to share a story about that time, adapted to fit American culture and sensibilities. I grew up in a small, rural town. Our home, nestled among rolling hills, was a place where we could make ends meet thanks to my hardworking father. The elementary school was already a trek, but middle school was even further. I used to bike to school until it just wasn't feasible anymore, leading my dad to find me a boarding house near my school. I was a mild-mannered kid, and I did pretty well academically. In high school, I had a friend named Garrick. We got to know each other through a club we were both part of. My parents were quite tall, but I hadn't grown much since eating the meals my mom prepared for me in middle school, making me shorter than most kids my age. Garrick had a great personality. His face always seemed to glow, and he was tall. When I mentioned that it must be nice to be tall, he'd say, "What's the point of being tall? I wish I was as good at studying as you are." As I got to know Garrick, I learned he lived with just his mom. His dad was a professor abroad and would only come home once every few years. Garrick mentioned that once he got to college, he planned to visit his dad's country and stay there for a month. Garrick's dad came from a wealthy family, having gone abroad for his studies, where he met Garrick's mom during her own study abroad. They got married back in their home country after she completed her master's degree, had Garrick, and then she went abroad alone for her PhD, eventually settling down there. So Garrick's house was always quiet. My home, on the other hand, was bustling with my brother and sister chattering and helping with farm work, and we often interacted with our neighbors. My dad had relatives living nearby, which meant our house was almost always open to visitors. Living in a house full of people made me feel that it was strange when things were too quiet, while Garrick found too much noise and chow overwhelming and preferred to retreat to his room for some peace. This difference made me realize the contrasting experiences of growing up as an only child versus in a family with several siblings. Garrick lived downtown, and his high school was nearby. During self-study periods, he would sit next to me and ask questions about things he didn't understand. One day, he mentioned he wished we could study together every day, and hesitantly suggested, "I kind of wish we could live together." He explained that his senior year of high school was crucial, and since his house was spacious, and he could have his own room, he thought I should consider it. After talking to my mom about it, she readily agreed. Living at Garrick's house might be a bit awkward, but after getting tired of the cramped and crowded boarding house life, I called home to ask my dad what he thought about moving in with Garrick. He said, "Last year's harvest was good, so we have some savings. Don't worry, I'll support you. Your brother isn't interested in studying and didn't go to college because he's caught up in running his own business. It's time we invest in our star student." Before moving into Garrick's, my parents bought me new clothes and went with me to say hello. They told Garrick's parents, "We know we should take care of Thane, but we're too busy with the farm work. Please, if it's not too much trouble, could you look after him for a few months?" And offered to pay rent. Garrick's mom greeted us with a warm smile and prepared a delicious meal of roast pizza and salad. She mentioned setting up a separate room for me, but Garrick wanted us to stay together, so we figured it out. Garrick, who had separate study and sleeping areas, asked for an additional desk in the study room and another bed in the bedroom. Living and studying together at Garrick's made me feel like part of the family. Garrick's mom, in her 40s and very graceful, said softly, "Thane, you can call me Mom if you want. It might make you feel more at home. Let me know what you like to eat. I'll make it for you." But I was too shy to call her Mom. Garrick was thrilled to be together all day, and we would go to tutoring after school and study until the early hours, helping each other with questions. Garrick and his mom made a lot of effort to make me feel at home, and my parents, even sending double the boarding fee, were overjoyed with my mock exam scores. And through a neighborhood party when I got into college, Garrick got into the best college in the area, and I was accepted into a prestigious university in New York. Garrick's mom threw a party and invited my parents. My parents and Garrick's mom thanked each other, and we all toasted with a meal prepared by a visiting chef. When it was time to go home, Garrick's mom suggested we all stay the night since we were like family. My parents, who usually went to bed early and woke up at dawn to work on the farm, had been living this routine for decades. Being welcomed into such a modern home felt like staying at a hotel, which was a delightful experience. As I was getting ready to head up to New York, filled with excitement, Garrick invited me over to his place. His mom had gone shopping for ingredients to make a turkey dish in the backyard. I grabbed a gift for Garrick's mom and hurried over. With my entrance exam results out and looking good, I feel like I've done my part. If there's been anything unsatisfying about staying at our place, I hope we can clear the air right now, I said, encouraging a night of uninhibited fun now that he was officially an adult. That evening, I found myself enchanted by a wine I had never tasted before, while Garrick, feeling under the weather, retired to his room. I ended up finishing the remaining wine with Garrick's mom. I thanked her for her kindness, and she mentioned having a model student like Thane stay with us has been a blessing. It even inspired Garrick, who was previously uninterested in academics, to get into college. I can't thank you enough. Because of Garrick, I feel like I've fulfilled my duties too. Garrick's mom, a New York native who had never lived outside the city, now found herself feeling a bit claustrophobic living in the countryside. She mentioned that now Garrick was an adult, she'd visit her parents more often, to which I warmly responded. I thanked her for making it so comfortable for me to study and handed her a shawl I had prepared, explaining that I bought it because she seemed to feel the cold more in the winter. Upon seeing it, she immediately spread it out and suggested we wrap ourselves in it together. In that moment, I felt her warmth, and we became one. Thus, we shared a secret, and I began my life in New York, using visiting her parents as an excuse. Garrick's mom would come to my studio apartment to spend quality time, though visiting Garrick back home during the holidays made me feel somewhat guilty. Fortunately, our secret remained just that. Now, I am raising a loving wife and adorable twin daughters. I'll never forget Garrick's mom's embrace at my wedding, dressed in a beautiful dress. Every year on January 1st, I make a point to call Garrick's mother to wish her well. Garrick's father, having retired from a university abroad, found returning to American life a bit foreign despite being American. He expressed a desire to die in America, enjoying rounds of golf with the lovely Mrs. Garrick. Having lived apart for so long, she now smiles and says she doesn't feel lonely anymore. I told her, "If he ever gives you trouble, just call me." I'll come and cheer you up.